Hello, Sagittarius, and welcome to Indigo Rising Tarot. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you're having a great day. This will be your weekly reading for the week of July 12th through the 18th. And during that time, we first have a waning crescent moon for the first part of the week. That's a time of stability and calm, a good time for us to be thoughtful and be growth oriented because we're wrapping up those things that we started at the beginning of this cycle and looking forward to the beginning of the next cycle, which happens on the 14th with the new moon. And of course, that's a time for a fresh start, new beginnings. Good time for us to start new things, start new projects, both inner and outer, make new decisions, whatever it might be that you want to do. So be thinking the first part of the week, what is it that I want to do? Try to make that decision by the new moon. And then during the waxing crescent, which is the rest of the week, we have heightened senses and we're just kind of clear and ready to work on things and at least start to plan and take the first steps on those things that we do want to do during the new moon. So please keep those moon energies in mind as we move through the week. This will be an intuitive general reading for energies that you may or may not encounter. So as always, please take what resonates and leave what doesn't here on the table for someone else. And the overall message for this reading is that emotions are running high. It's a really pretty card with the supermoon. I've had very interesting moon cards. Sometimes there's cards that come out that I just don't see often. So it's fun when I get to see cards that I don't get to see every day. All right, let's see. As I'm shuffling the tarot cards, my fun weekly reminder, and this does go along with the new moon, is that you at least take the time this week to learn something new. So it could be anything. Maybe if you're outside, you're going to learn something about gardening. But do a deep dive, make it something that you spend a couple of hours learning and doing, and maybe hands-on is great, but learn something new this week. It definitely goes with that moon energy. So, all right, let's get into this reading. I've got Sagittarius, July 12th through the 18th. Emotions are running high. Let's see why. Your present energy right now, well, broken heart. 3 of Swords. So if emotions are running high, for some of you, it's some sort of disappointment. This doesn't have to be romantic. Of course, it can be something, but there's some sort of just some disappointment that you're going to have to deal with, and emotions are running high because of it. Again, if it's romantic, my apologies if you have something going on in that area, but it could be something that's just, maybe you didn't, something just didn't come through for you, something that you were maybe looking forward to. This could have been a promotion at work, or getting a scholarship somewhere, or something that you maybe thought was going to happen that you're disappointed that it didn't. We'll keep reading the cards here and see what else is coming out. Your current situation, well, anytime you've got some disappointment, it instantly sets you off on a new journey, especially if you're trying to be at least a little bit positive about it. But here comes the Fool right in to say, well, that's okay, didn't work out, bam, new path. Right? So that's just what happens with disappointment. So you might have to feel this and get over it very quickly. I mean, that Fool comes right in on top of there to say, well, new journey, time to go. No time to linger and think about these thoughts. So, Sagittarius, you guys tend to be very spontaneous anyway. So I would imagine that, oh, well, that didn't work out, off to the next thing. That's totally the way I see Sagittarius playing that out. At the root of your situation is, yeah, you're moving into your future with new thoughts, new idea, new swords here. So new communications, new thoughts. But very calmly. I mean, it says emotions are running high, but that's not maybe the emotions were here, and again, you felt them and you just moved on from it very quickly. And sometimes that is with high emotions. We don't linger in those. We feel them, and then it's like, well, okay, time to go. But you're moving into your future calmer, with calmer emotions, but definitely looking towards with new thoughts, new ideas. What are these new? What's this didn't work out? What's the new plan? All right. In your recent past, here is the Hermit. So, you might have already been kind of searching, and maybe questioning before this even happened. Um, look at the color difference here with the Hermit and this card. Very gray, that maybe you were thinking, what is my next step? And you thought this was the next step, but it's not. So now you just get to rethink it again with the Fool card. So, so maybe that thinking didn't really, again, it didn't quite work out. What's the saying that, um, I don't know, good things come to those who wait is coming, but that's not even that's not even, I don't even think you were waiting. I think you were having some sort of expectation. It just didn't work out the way you wanted to. What's on your mind this week is feeling a little stuck, of course. Of course, whatever this disappointment is, like, oh, I think you are going to have to change space or change directions. Look at all the swords here, though. Just all the swords. A lot of this is in your mind. um that, I mean, I'm sure actual things are happening, but a lot of it is you thinking thoughts, and I feel like you're thinking these thoughts very, very rapidly too, and that might be where those emotions are running in. But here we go. Let's take off on this new path. See where we're headed. Just ahead of you this week are lots of choices there with the 7 of Cups. So that makes a lot of sense, because anytime you're changing course, you're going to have to make new decisions. So just calmly make those new decisions. Realize that having choices, that is a luxury, that sometimes you're just pigeonholed into just a way of doing things because you don't have a lot of choices, but it looks like you do have some choices to make. You just need to make the right ones. So think about this hermiting period in the past where you kind of went in and you were doing some inner searching. What was it that came out of that? Were there other things, and maybe you took one path when you might have taken another? So think about that, but think about making the best choices for yourself right now. All right, what is in your advice position is to do whatever it is with love. So you've got all of these cups. Make the choice that is the thing you love. I think that's the advice. um Sometimes we're making choices and they're based on logic and intellect. I mean, all of these swords, you're thinking, oh no, this is logical. Sometimes the best choice that you love love is not logical. Sometimes it makes no sense, but you just love the person, place, thing, whatever it is. You love it so much that you're going to make it work. So think about that, and your advice is to move forward with love, with an open heart, and let your heart overflow. What is beyond your control this week is the Page of Pentacles. So something new in the financial realm or some change in your material realm. This could be a change in your job, a little change. It could be a change in your housing situation, and that you might even just change something in your bedroom. You might change something in your house that makes you feel better. But Page of Pentacles is definitely something new, a new path in the material. So this could just be that you are doing some retail therapy to get over whatever this high emotion thing was. That's something some of us might do occasionally for feeling like I just want a distraction, but that's definitely beyond your control, that's there for you anyway. What is your secret desire, or what are you trying to avoid? Is the 7 of Pentacles, which is about waiting for a harvest. And sometimes this card to me can also be waiting for someone to come to your rescue with previous seeds that you've planted. So think, I've had that card be that in different readings, and I that meaning also kind of sticks with me. But also, we now have 2 sevens on the table, lots of choices. And is it your secret desire to kind of wait on that harvest, or are you trying to avoid cashing in on some of those seeds that you've previously planted? And this doesn't necessarily have to be monetary. These can be emotional seeds. These can be, like seeds you've planted with friends. Like maybe you helped your friend move and you're hoping your friend comes to your rescue to help you move, that kind of thing, where tit for tat. So, but yeah, either that's your secret desire is to harvest or wait for that harvest to come in, or you're trying to avoid that altogether. You need to ask yourself that question. Okay, in your outcome position here is the 5 of Wands. So outcome is some debate. These are, fives are cards of conflict. So this could be some sort of conflict or competition or some kind of debate. It doesn't have to devolve into fighting, but it could just be just heavy debate and maybe disagreement on the way something's going or the way this thing came in. You might be arguing with one person or more. Lots of swords in this reading, and that's their only card of fire here, is maybe some sort of conflict in the end. So it's a very interesting reading. It's kind of trying to think if I've missed anything here or if there's anything. I think you just have to take off on this new journey. You have to take off on this new journey. You have to do it with love. You have to, and there's something new materially there. And you have to decide, are you going to harvest some sort of seeds that you've earlier planted, whether they be financial or not? They're typically, when I see a card in that position, it's not really that. It could be again, emotions or things that you may need to, you're kind of either waiting for that harvest or not. And then, I mean, I think you've got some conflict at the end of the week, some debate, and that might actually be a healthy thing to move you forward. Make sure that if you're debating like that, of course, you want to make your own points, but listen to what the other points are, because sometimes other people have things to say that kind of rub up against what we have to say, but they're true. Believe it or not, sometimes someone else is right. So make sure you're listening to that. Let's see what's hidden from you here at the bottom of the deck. Two of Wands, which I just had. I feel like the Scorpio reading had this also. Like you're not really thinking too much about the future, and probably because you, it looks like you had something planned and it didn't come to fruition. So you are off on a new journey, and maybe you're just not putting enough thought into what the future needs to be. You know, it looks like you are trying to think about it here with the six, but this card may come to you next week after just kind of all, maybe some of these emotions need to settle down a little bit. Sometimes when we're in the mix and something has recently happened, it's very hard to, you know, kind of see where we're going moving forward. So make sure that whatever these decisions that you are kind of forced to make right now, just try to make the best decisions that you can for your own long-term well-being. So you know what those goals are, I hope. All right, let's get you a final message here from the Soul Oracle deck. Final message for Sagittarius as their emotions are running high. Begin to explore. Well, that would be the Fool card. Yeah, you might just need to explore what else is out there, that this thing didn't quite work out the way you wanted it to, and that's okay. That's life. What did you learn? And now begin to explore, begin to explore the next options. Let's see what you need to do in the way of self-care. Self-care for Sagittarius this week. Whoops, this card wanted to fly out, so we're going to take it. It's the card called Authenticity. Live life for you, not the audience in your head. Live life for you. What is it that you want? What new journey do you want? You've got this disappointment coming in. You've got some new decisions to make, but do them out of love. Accept the things that are changing around you, the new things that are coming in materially. And if your week is ending on some debate, again, just keep your ears open. Maybe there's something there for you to learn. Maybe you don't know everything. That's hard for some of us to realize sometimes, but sometimes we do listen to other people. I love it when someone can change my mind because it means they've put the work in. I think that's awesome. So Sagittarius, good luck with all of this. I hope there's something in this reading that you can take away and use in a positive way in your life this week. If you're comfortable sharing, drop me a comment down below. Let me know what's going on with you or what's resonating, or if you have questions, I would certainly answer those for you. Also, if you like my reading style, hitting like and subscribe is super, super helpful. So thank you in advance for doing that for me. And thank you for spending time with me here today. I really do appreciate it. I will see you next week. Bye-bye.